Tennessee Titans, my team, as you can see back there, we finally have a new head coach. We hired Brian Callahan, and I think, I want to clear up some past confusion. Like a lot of people are saying, well, a lot of Titans fans have been saying, finally, we have an offensive coach, but a lot of people don't know what that means. Like you've had Wizenhut, you've had, other Malarkey, you've had offensive coaches. What are you talking about? Let me elaborate. We have not had a modern offensive coach. So we had Jeff Fisher, who was our head coach for about 17 years. Good coach. We had success. We made a Super Bowl. Not a modern head coach, but to be fair, he didn't coach in the modern era. His last year was like 2010. Then we had Mike Munchak, again, a very astounding player for us. He was a Hall of Famer. He just didn't catch on either. He was here for 3 seasons. The only kind of modern NFL head coach we had was Ken Wisenhunt, but he was only here for a year and a half. They were awful. They went 2-14, and then en route to a 3-13 year, his second year, they fired him mid-year. So, he was the only kind of offensive minded coach, but at Ken Wisenhunt, they don't deal with like a running quarterback. He dealt with, Kurt Warner, Matt Leinart, decent quarterbacks, but they're pocket passers, and that's not today's game. Even the best arms like Mahomes, you got to be able to scramble a little bit. Mahomes and Rodgers really invented that too. And then so we went from Wisenhunt. We hired Mike Mularkey with some success, but again, that was a run-first team with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, and even Marcus Mariota. You could complain because we got him injured by doing inside runs up the line with Marcus Mariota. I still hold the Titans against that they destroyed Marcus Mariota's career, and if they didn't get him killed and get his ACL, and I forget if the exact injury, it might have been Achilles in his second year, that he would be a lot better off right now. So you go from Malarkey, and then you go to Vrabel, of course, who we've had for 5-6 years, who is, again, very good. We had lots of success. We made playoff runs. We made it to the AFC Championship in his second year. Not a modern head coach, and it caught up to him. And we'll talk about why that is another time or maybe later in this topic. But in short, or I guess in long, we've never had that modern offensive coach like Jake enjoys with Mike McDaniel. So we'll see how Callahan does. He's 39 years old. And who he worked with kind of excites me. He worked with the Broncos. So he worked with Peyton Manning a little bit. That's a plus. And then he's been with the Bengals for the last 5 years. You work with Burrow, who's exploded on the scene. And of course, Jamar Chase and all that. That's a plus too. T. Higgins. They've been good. So we'll find out if that was, his doing or not. But I tend to think it was, and I'm also excited. Again, 39 years old. I'm excited to see a fresh face. But before I have more, Jake, thoughts on the Titans hire?
Yeah, I just want to comment on Evan's saying about Mike McDaniel real quick. I am glad I have Mike McDaniel as head coach of the Dolphins. So I just want to throw that out there. But as for the Titans, I had no idea why I kind of didn't understand the Mike Vrabel firing, but I kind of understand the Bryce Callahan hiring, if that kind of makes sense. Because, Mike Vrabel, didn't really get a lot done in Tennessee as far as making the playoffs goes. Yes, he had some good seasons, but he didn't really get as far as making the playoffs goes. And the Titans are bringing in a fresh face, Bryce Callahan. What I don't know why I keep on saying Mike. Bryce Callahan,
Brian
offensive
Callahan.
coach, huh?
Brian Callahan.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Jake's nodding,
Brian.
so I will continue. No, you're good. Yeah, so I think Jake makes a good point about that too. The Mike Vrabel thing was a little suspect. Why are they why are they firing him? And I think Jake put it really well. I think when he said that we were surprised about they hired him, but then when they hired Brian Callahan, you're like, oh, that's a nice hiring. So we'll see how it works out, but for sure in Tennessee, there's something needed to change. I don't know if it was this, but we'll see if it works. But anyways, some of the assistants he's hiring. I heard this morning he's hiring Dennard Wilson, who is the defensive back coach of the Ravens. That's a plus to me. They have really good coaches, and they've had for a long time. We of course got Dean Pease, who used to be the defensive coordinator there. So I'll take anything from Baltimore. That's looking good for our new defensive coordinator. But really, just to wrap this up, The Titans' downfall is, yes, I've stressed this before on the show, is the offensive line for sure. But it's also the assistant coaches. You have to have competent assistant coaches to compete in this league. And Mike Vrabel, we all like him. This is one of the reasons, Jake, why he started not succeeding, is he hired all of his buddies to be his coaches, his assistant coaches, and that's not going to work. So it'll be interesting if we keep doing that. I hope we stop doing that. That's happened for the last couple of coaches, but Brian Callahan, let's rock.